You're listening to the InkPrint podcast. I'm your host, Micah, and today's episode is titled Clean Cut. This poem is written by me, and I am very excited to share it with you guys. Ready for the pain, refreshed yet burned from the salt and the rain. Frightened but feeling sinister from happily going insane. Manic from the panic. This episode is erratic. Irrational train of thought. Close enough, I might fall. Stumbling, so I crawl. The irony of it all is I gain to lose it all. Loosening my grip. Careful, 'cause I might slip. Downward into the abyss. That's fine, but then it flips. Trying to clear my mind. Running out of time. Running 'cause I can't fly. You can see it in my eyes. I laugh because I lie that I'm fine. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and kind of just break the poem down stanza by stanza. And if you don't know what stanza means, I'm going to go ahead and give you the definition. So my definition, and this is just basic poetry mechanics. Stanza is basically something in the poem that's made up of a few lines that complete an idea. So it's like mini paragraphs within a story. It can be 2 lines, 3 lines, or 4 lines, and it kind of just completes an idea. So the first 3 lines says, ready for the pain, refreshed yet burned from the salt and the rain. So like I said, when I wrote this poem, it was towards the end of the year, and I was in a very reflective state of what just happened in the last 12 months. So when I say ready for the pain, refreshed yet burned, that's kind of referring to January 2024. Obviously 2023 came with its own traumas and fears and burns and scars, but in January of 2024, I was like, okay, I am refreshed. It is a new year. However, I still got some bumps and scrapes from 2023. And the salt and the rain is basically just all of the new challenges that 2024 is bringing that would have probably broke me in 2023. That kind of acts like, salt in the wound. So like I said, refresh yet burn from the salt and the rain. So it's like I'm allowing all of the new opportunities of 2024 to come in, but it pokes me in places that would have really hurt me in the previous year. So the next stanza says, frightened but feeling sinister from happily going insane. Manic from the panic, this episode is erratic. So this is kind of going more towards the middle of the year of 2024, and it's like whenever you go through something and like you overcome and it's great, you kind of forget about it, and then something else will happen, and it's almost like a test from God to see, are you going to handle this situation the same way, or are you going to find a new way of overcoming? And that's where, I'm gonna be transparent, that is where I struggle the most. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people, especially Christians, struggle with this, because you automatically want to go to what you're comfortable with. And sometimes God is trying to pull you and push you into handling things a different way. So frightened but feeling sinister is like, I'm afraid, but I'm also like, come what may. And then from happily going insane is the next part. And I'm just saying, like, I'm at a point where it's not even about come what may. Now it's about I'm over it, and I just want to get over it. And I'm driving myself and overthinking and pushing all in the wrong directions, which is causing me to panic. So I put manic from the panic. This episode is erratic. So it's a play on words of having a manic episode, panicking, and just being irrational, being erratic, which is funny because that is how the next stanza starts off. And it says, irrational train of thought, close enough I might fall, stumbling so I crawl. This is going more towards the lower end of the year where my mind is racing. I have all of these things that are happening, all of these things that are coming to a close, all of these things that are beginning. And instead of processing, I'm just letting my mind wander. And I find myself stumbling and falling just from being crushed under all of the pressure and everything that's happening in my mind. And then the next stanza says, the irony of it all is I gain to lose it all. Loosening my grip, careful cause I might slip downward into the abyss. That's fine, but then it flips. So again, this part is kind of going back to what I said in the beginning of, are you going to find a new way to conquer, or are you going to keep going to that old way? And so I said the irony of it all is I gain to lose it all, which means in this part, when I was writing, I was thinking about how it seems like every time I take 2 steps forward, I take 1,000,000 steps back. And it's like those 2 steps were actually very significant. And it took all these million little things to set me way back, or even back to where I started. And so now that I'm coming to grips with that, it's like I'm starting to give up. So like I said, loosening my grip, careful because I might slip. So it's like I feel myself giving up and I'm on the brink of just falling, but I'm like, no, like I have to hold on. But it's like I have nothing to hold on to. And sometimes life will present itself in a way to make you feel like there is nothing. Like I am trying, I am spinning my wheels, beating my head up against the same old wall, and there's just no way out. And so that's when I say downward into the abyss. That's fine, but then it flips. So it's like I'm almost saying, I know that I'm about to end up in a dark place, but it's okay because I've been in this dark place before. Instead of saying, I know I'm about to end up in this dark place, let me pray my way out. Let me lean into my community. Let me stand on some scriptures. Let me fast. I'm saying no, like I've been depressed before, so I'm just gonna go through the motions. I've been sick in the head before, I'm just gonna go through the motions. And then it's like I say that's fine, but then it flips. And the next stanza says, trying to clear my mind, running out of time, running because I can't fly. So essentially I'm in this depression and it doesn't last as long as I think it's going to. So it's like you're in the abyss and then eventually it flips and just spits you back out. And it's like either you're forced to shake out of it, or you know, something else happens to take your mind off of it that's even greater, but you still haven't gone back to like really process what just happened. So when I wrote that part, it was like, okay, I think I'm good. I'm trying to clear my mind, but I'm running out of time. Like the year is almost over and I still have all of this baggage. I still have all of this junk and this clutter. And it says running because I can't fly, which is me saying like, I have no other option. Like I want to rise above this, but I can't. And the fastest way I can get out of this is just running. And it's like, that's fine, but where are you running to? Are you running to social media? Are you running to friends that aren't really your friends? Are you running to gossip? Are you running to vent and not have any plan of action behind that? Or are you running to Christ? Are you running to the Bible? Are you running to worship? And so that is kind of like this tug and this push and pull throughout all of this, is me consciously making the choice to say, I have been in a bad place before and I'm just going to allow it to overtake me. And the last stanza says, you can see it in my eyes. I laugh because I lie that I'm fine. And that part, the last part is probably the one part of the poem that I really resonate with the most, because I am a professional, as well as many of you all listening are, at saying I'm fine, I'm good, instead of being honest and saying, actually I'm struggling with this right now, actually I'm not okay. You know, that kind of just sums up the poem. Like, I'm going through all of this physically, emotionally, mentally. However, I can't look like what I've just been through, so I'm going to negate everything I just said, everything I just went through, and say I'm fine. And is not honest. That's not real. That's not authentic. That's not true. And we as humans are so great at masking our pain behind a smile, drying our tears, and you got to keep pushing, you got to keep going, which is in fact true. But that doesn't mean I have to forget about all of that and keep going. No, you have to deal with that. You have to have those uncomfortable run-ins with God. You got to have those uncomfortable conversations with your spouse. You have to have those uncomfortable conversations with the people that you surround yourself with, and let them know, hey, I'm struggling, I need help. That's the end of the poem. And when I was writing it and I kind of just reread it and kind of processed what I just wrote, I was like, yeah, this kind of really sums up my 2024. I went into the year thinking it was going to be one way. I was going to finally be doing something in my career, which I graduated college with a pre-law degree, and I wanted to be in the criminal justice field. It didn't matter if I was in somebody's law office or working in the jail system or whatever. I just wanted to be in the criminal justice field. I was making all these plans and writing all these goals, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and nothing was coming up. I couldn't get any breakthrough into any part of the criminal justice field, and I wound up staying at my regular 9-to-5 that I worked. Ended up losing my job. I got laid off in May, and I was like, why am I going through this? I don't even want to be in this field. Like, I don't even want to be here. Why am I experiencing all this hurt from something I don't even want? 2 weeks later, one of the ladies at my job wound up retiring, and so I just stepped into her role, and it was like I was grateful, but I was also having all of these feelings towards it, because I was like, if she would have stayed, like, I would have had to find a new place to live. I would have had to work another 9-to-5 that I wouldn't have been happy at. And God is trying to show you, like, be grateful in the small ways that I've made provision, because when I make big provision for you to escalate, you'll be able to appreciate it more. Obviously, I couldn't grasp that concept in May when it was all happening. My mind was where the poem was. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, here we go again. Something I've worked so hard for is just being snatched from me. And, it's just all of these wrestling thoughts. I used a lot of figurative language to kind of describe what I was feeling. And some examples are like when I'm talking about the abyss, when I'm talking about trying to get back up from being knocked down, and I say stumbling, and I'm crawling and loosening my grip, refreshed yet burned, all of that stuff I use to really try to personify what I'm feeling internally, because on the outside nobody's questioning it. They see, oh, it's just Micah walking around, she's happy, she's being silly, she's going out still, she's having fun. But in the inside, this is what is happening in my brain. I also really tried to capture like chain of events. And so there's a lot of, it goes down and then it goes down and then it goes down and then it goes down. Like, there's no hope of it being fine until at the end, when I'm lying saying that, oh yeah, I'm okay. It's very hard to keep that up after a while. Like, and God was showing me, like, if you allow things to keep you down and keep saying that you're fine, you will not start to believe it. Other things will actually start piling on until you break and say, okay, I need help. He's gonna keep taking you around that mountain until you find ways to encourage yourself. You find ways to break yourself out of it. You find ways to recognize it before it even starts. And it's a learning process. It's gonna take time. It's not gonna happen overnight. But he's looking at your heart and he's looking at your mind, and he's trying to see, okay, how is she going to handle it this time? How is he going to break out of this time? The last thing is, why is this poem important and how can we learn from it? So I feel like I've answered both of those questions. I try to have an answer for both of those questions at the end of all of my writing, not just poetry. Because I do believe that all gifts are given from God, and the gift of writing was given to me. And so when I'm done writing, I try to rationalize, okay, what is this for? Is this just me venting, or is God trying to show me something in this way of processing? So I do think that the ultimate goal and the ultimate message is, don't be afraid to ask for help, especially in situations you struggle with, or I've been through this before. Don't feel like, because I've been through this before, I know it all, and I know I'm about to feel angry in the next 2 days, and I know it's going to take me 3 days to process it, and then afterwards I'll be fine. No, ask for help. I'm not saying you can't process, you can't think about it, you can't vent, but have an action plan behind it. Because once you vent and you think about it and you process it, you want to make sure that you're in the right space. Otherwise, it's going to cause you to sin. It's going to cause you to have resentment. It's going to cause you to cuss that coworker out. It's going to cause you to block someone that you probably don't want to block. And society today is quick with that. You have to cut people off. You have to draw the line. You gotta get them out of your life, and that is not always the case. Sometimes God is telling you, yes, this person is not for your season. This person is not for you. You need to cut them off. But sometimes God is like, show them grace. Sometimes God is like, pray for them. Sometimes God is like, sow into that ministry, that same ministry that hurt you. Sometimes God is like, forgive your mom. Sometimes God is like, give your dad grace. And you have to pay attention to that. And you can only do that if you ask for help. Sometimes you may go through things like that and you don't want to share with other people. And that's why it's important to pray and ask God, hey, what do you want me to do with this? How do I get over this? Bring me to the right people that are going to help me get through this. Show me the scripture. Let me hear the message in church, because this life was not meant to be lived alone. The struggles you have are not meant to be pushed through and overcome alone. No matter how much society tries to put on us, oh, we got to get it on our own. We got to get it out the mud. We got to do this. That's not everybody's story. That's not everybody's will for their life. And so if you can see God is trying to help, God is sending stuff to you, He's giving you those messages, don't ignore any of it. Take it to Him in prayer. Take your anger to Him in prayer. Take your shame to Him in prayer. He is wanting to listen to you. He's wanting to help you. And that is what I have on that. So I really do like this poem, and I have a million pages worth of writings and blurbs and journal entries and all types of stuff. But when I was trying to find one for my first opening week, this one really stuck out to me. And so I'm very happy that I decided to go with this one and share it, because I do feel like it's relevant, especially it still being the first month of the year. There's still a lot of stuff people are trying to break out of from 2020. And it's easy for us to bring those struggles and those pains into each new year, knowing and unknowingly. And so until you humble yourself and really search within yourself and ask God to help you, you'll realize that certain cycles will keep popping up, and we want to start breaking cycles. I really do hope that you all enjoyed this written piece of the journey, and I hope I can inspire you to write your own, and I will talk to you in the next episode.